flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, has alleged that the Lagos-Calabar Highway project is being expedited slowly due to the business ties between President Bola Tinubu and Gilbert Chagoury, the owner of the highway contractor, Hitech construction company. The former vice president accused President Bola Tinubu of conflict of interest because his son, Seyi, is on the board of CDK Integrated Industries, a subsidiary of the Chagoury Group, owned by one of the president's business allies, Gilbert Chagoury. The president, in his response, says Mr. Tinubu has the right to pursue any business interest, stating that Seyi Tinubu, a board member of CDK Industries Limited, poses no conflict of interest to the project. The ongoing development of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway has attracted immense criticism and approval.
And of course, the Lagos State government continues the demolition of numerous facilities to expedite construction. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has also regularly backed the demolition, saying that they are necessary to enforce the government's right of way. Joining us this morning to discuss this further is public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Good morning. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Happy New Week.
Same to you. Really strong allegations by Atiku Abubakar. Of course, first of all, the business ties between the Chagourys and the president. The son of the president, also a board member of one of the Chagoury business conglomerates or business subsidiaries. So let's first of all get your reaction to the conflict of interest and the allegations that the coastal road is not being carried out because of sincere interest, but because of personal interest from Mr. President.
Well, for me, I've been following this story for like 3 weeks now, and it seems fresh facts are emerging on a daily basis. We do understand that this has been on the drawing board for some time, and the plan to have Lagos to Calabar Superhighway was not the making of Tinubu administration per se, but he met it and he wants to implement it. However, I have issues. Much as the issue of the whole contract has been enmeshed in political mudslinging. As a patriotic Nigerian, as a stakeholder in this country, I have my worry about that project. But let me speak to the issue you asked me, which is about conflict of interest. Now it has come out that Seyi 38, son of the president, had been on the board of CDK, which is a tile and tower manufacturing in Shagamu since 2018. Fine, he has every right to pursue his own career, his own business career, and there is nothing wrong with that. But this issue of if you tackle me, I will double you, it's unhealthy. Now the presidency is saying, if anybody will raise the issue, it should not be Atiku, who was vice president and still hold interest in Intel. While he was in customs, he and an Italian businessman, established Intel, and he didn't see that as conflict of interest. He sold 145 businesses that were up for privatization to his associates and cronies. So, if truly and genuinely Atiku heard and what he did at that time, over 10 years ago, about 16 years ago, when he was still vice president, assuming without considering that what he did at that time was conflict of interest and unpatriotic, should that mean that the current president should continue in that same line? That is my own. It should not just be, you did it and you got away with it, so why are you querying us? This our own turn to do as we want. My questions are this. Why is it that the Lagos to Calabar Superhighway cannot wait? Yes, it's going to open up about 9 states, but it will take 8 years to construct. then we are talking of 15 trillion, 15.6 trillion. The president, the federal government does not have that kind of money. So I don't know whether it's going to be PPP, public-private partnership, but even at that, I'm very wary of white elephants. One, due process was not followed strictly in the award of this contract. There was no competitive bidding. Hitech was just singled out and awarded this contract. And you ask yourself whether that should be the standard operating procedure of Ministry of Works for a road network worth that kind of sum. In case you do not know, in 2024 budget, the entire envelope, the entire budget of Ministry of Works, Federal Ministry of Works, is not up to 1 trillion. It's not up to 1 trillion. And now we want to commit to 15.6 trillion to build a super highway. Right now, there are roads from Lagos that links Calabar. So why can't we use this 15 trillion in the event that we can actually source it? Why can't we use it to first improve and upgrade the existing road infrastructure of the federal government across the country? When we have fixed those roads and they are motorable and they are well maintained, then we can talk of superhighway. But to insist that this is a priority project, I don't think that makes sense, because right now they are doing 43 kilometers of the 700-kilometer road. At the end of the day, this administration will have 4 years. This road is scheduled to be completed in 8 years. What if APC or President Tinubu does not come back in 2027? It becomes more or less, we can see the way it's been done in this country. It could be abandoned. The same way, if you go back in history, when the second Niger Bridge was being mooted, it was meant to take like 3 years or 5 years to complete. It took over 30 years. Look at the variations that eventually had to come up. This 15 trillion, I wouldn't be surprised if by 2027, we are told that because of inflation and devaluation and all of that, this project somehow has to be reviewed upward, and then it goes to 30 trillion. But while I am not saying it is wasteful or we should not do it, I'm saying it should not have been a priority project. There are so many federal roads that are today impassable. Look at the Lokoja, Okene, Auchi, down to Benin Road. Look at several other routes, even in the southwest where the president comes from. Many of the roads are impassable. And you want to go and commit to 15 trillion, which is the highest I've ever had in the history of this country. You want to commit such resources to just build a road that will link up 9 states. I don't think that should be a priority for us now.
Yeah, you're not the only one who's making this argument. There's a lot more that has been said also, pretty much, also supporting your claims that we could invest, 15 trillion into many other things that will be of way more importance.
Well, the government doesn't completely seem to agree with that. But in the event that, they decide that they want to pay attention to a number of these claims and these arguments, is there anything that can be done at this point? The demolitions have already commenced. Is there any form of remedy that can be instituted at this point?
Well, I know they know what to do, but it seems like they're just so committed and fixated, which is why people are reading meanings into this whole thing. Now, why is it that I have the renewed hope agenda. I've not seen anywhere in that renewed hope agenda where the president talks about the Lagos to Calabar superhighway. And even if it were to be there, you can always prioritize. We do not have that quantum of resources But even if we do have, we can apply it to more urgent areas that will serve the entire country, not just a section of the country. A number of people are asking, why didn't this superhighway start from Calabar to Lagos? Why is it starting from Lagos to Calabar? So the issue for me is they can still rescind their decision. They can go at a slower pace and see the possibility of mobilizing resources to other sector of the even road infrastructure. But the other thing I need to even flag about this, we are told that a kilometer of this road will cost 4 billion. Is that, was there public procurement certification, Bureau of Public Procurement certification that this 4 billion will be true value for money? Because when you already, you didn't do competitive bidding, you just single out Chagoury. And Chagoury, to the best of my knowledge, I've not heard of any road infrastructure that he has built in Nigeria. So maybe he has done so elsewhere.
Yeah.
But now, do we have Bureau of Public Procurement approval that this is actually, this project at this point in time actually is worth spending 15 trillion on? If it is not, then that is another concern about whether this procurement is not also, there is no sharp practices involved in this procurement saga. But I mean, you can always retrace your step. It's not cast in stone. It's not like it has to be done willy-nilly. Government, with the kind of intervention we have had, can also think through and say, okay, can we do these things differently? Look at the original design that was not meant to get so many structures demolished. That was abandoned, and they now had to veer off that original design. Look at the enormity of businesses that are now being affected along that corridor where demolition have been taking place. And you will talk about businesses collapsing, unemployment rate and all of that. So we should have thought all of this through. Yes.
Let's quickly also have you speak on, because the allegations by Atiku Abubakar, are pretty strong, and so I want your thoughts on, what role the National Assembly should have played in this situation. If the company that is meant to be getting a 15 trillion naira contract didn't go through proper bidding process, there hasn't shown any signs that it has carried out such a project before and will be able to complete that project in the time that has been set. Should the National Assembly have had a say in this conversation at all? And then also, when they say that the Chagourys and President Tinubu are business partners or have business relationships or business dealings, what business exactly are they referring to? I mean, there's no clarity on what business exactly the president does with the Chagourys. When they had the summit in Doha, one of these trips, the climate trip, I remember that when Nigeria's 1,000 plus delegation, one of the Chagourys was also on that delegation, from representing federal government. So there's been a lot of controversy surrounding that relationship for a bit. Can you speak a little bit more about why this should maybe be a problem or not?
Well, we know the president will be a businessman, thorough. Since he left Mobi Producing many decades ago, he's ventured into business deals. We know some of his businesses, but there are so many other businesses that we may not know in which he is a shareholder. And of course, the presidency has not come out to say that the president is not a friend of Gilbert Chagoury or that they are not business partners. They are only justifying it to say, yes, his son has a right to pursue his own career. But the issue is more like, even if you want to favor your friends, make sure that due processes are followed. That is my own position. I mean, people help their friends when they're in government, even for those of us who are not in government. when our friends are in need, or when we are also in need, we also reach out to our friends for support, for loan, for different kind of assistance. So it is commonplace for us as individuals to seek support, but let due process be followed. No, don't bend the rules, because you are laying a bad precedent. Nigerians are watching, and people are waiting with bated breath. This Lagos to Sokoto superhighway, they said they want to construct from Badagry down to Sokoto. People are watching how that project will also be awarded. But let's just do the right thing. That is the slogan of National Orientation Agency. Do the right thing. If the right things are done, irrespective of whether it's your son, or because we all accused Buhari of nepotism, of clannishness, and all of that. And now he's also rearing his ugly head under the Tinubu presidency. And that should not be the way to go, because the president will not have the moral right to also question the governors in the states, at the subnational level, when they erred. So we need to set good examples. We need to say, yes, it's my friend, but these are the facts of the case. These are the due processes. Before this contract was awarded, we involved the Bureau of Public Procurement. They did due diligence. Now, you talked about National Assembly.
Right.
That said that National Assembly under the Tinubu presidency is just like the continuation of what we had under the Buhari presidency, when Dr. Ahmed Lawan said, whatever the president wants is what they will do. And because it's a pork barrel politics, you rub my back, I rub your back. Don't forget the issue of budget padding that came up some 2-3 months ago. What did the president say? The president said, you people have done well. I don't have issues with it. Whether you increase it by 10 trillion, whether you inserted 7,000 projects, I don't have issues. So It shows that everybody is getting their own share of the national cake, irrespective. So yes, National Assembly can even organize public hearing, can have an investigative hearing to show whether, to ask Nigerians whether due processes are followed, whether Chagoury is the best person to have handled this project. But I does say that I do not see the National Assembly under the leadership of Godswill Akpabio doing that. Also, with all this panic in government.
I think it even goes back to even the approval. How was the approval, accepted? Did they have a clear picture as to how much this would have even cost? Did they ask the questions? Did they ask if it was in line with the ICRC? So many questions to be asked. And, just to quickly chip this in, some would say that, yes, the president may not be directly related or directly working with the Chagoury group. It might be that his son is on the board. In some measure, is this not similar to what happened with Olubunmi Tunji when he said it wasn't, his wife was linked and found to be on the board of the company that had received funds from Better Edu. So these questions need to be asked in the interest of clarity and good governance. Thank you so much.
If I may quickly weigh
in 30 seconds.
If I may quickly weigh
30 seconds.
Yes, in 30 seconds. You see, this kind of project is supposed to have National Assembly approval. The money that is going to be spent on this should have been in the 2024 budget. And I'm not too sure, I'm not very clear whether the National Assembly voted money for this. I'm not too certain with that. So, and if that was not done, it is within the right of National Assembly to say, Mr. President, we should have been carried along. Let's have an investigative hearing into this whole process. But again, because of the nature and character of politics in Africa, that may actually not happen. But we'll wait and see how this will eventually pan out ultimately.
The Minister of Works did say due process was followed, but we'll keep following up with the story. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central.
It's my pleasure. To have a great week ahead.